We are enjoying a first mover advantage. None of our peers or competitors are doing what we're doing. This is an absolute needle mover for our clients.
I am Julian Godo, Investment Associate at LLC Private Wealth at CG Wealth Management. Alongside Harold Leishman, I manage the small micro-cap side of our group, where we are looking for growing, reasonably priced companies with meaningful cash flow or a clear pathway to meaningful cash flow. Today, I'm joined by Des O'Kell, Senior Vice President and Director of Enterprise Group. Enterprise trades on the TSX under the ticker E with a market cap of approximately $64 million. Taken from their website, they provide specialized equipment and services in the build-out of infrastructure for energy, pipeline, and construction industries. 2023 was a banner year. They reported net income of greater than $6 million on revenue of greater than $33 million for a top-line growth number of approximately 25%. We've been on the Enterprise story for a few years now, and we're fortunate enough to buy a block in the 40-cent range and further added to our position in the recent financing at 85 cents. Today, the stock is trading around $1.10. Purpose of this video is to provide insight to our clients as to why they own the stock and why to continue to hold it if deemed appropriate for their speculative portfolios. Des, thanks for joining us and thanks for bearing with me. You guys provide a variety of site infrastructure to producers in the Canadian energy space, including mobile offices, lighting, medic shacks, and even bathrooms. But I think the most intriguing piece of equipment you provide are your microgrid systems. Can you explain the microgrid systems, how they work, the value to clients, and potential cost savings?
Yeah, certainly. Well, thanks for having me. This is I like doing these, so we're pretty passionate about what we're doing in the field. So, always good to talk to the capital markets crew. What we do is probably good to, and like you just described, we bring the whole site infrastructure package to our clients. Our clients are the producers. So we bring out all the site infrastructure to their project sites. Project sites are very remote. So they need basically mobile power systems along with the office structures and medic buildings and command centers. Those are all the structures we bring out that are mobile, so they can actually park on a site for several months at a time on a project site, very remote. And of course, it needs to be robust in the way that it needs to handle up to or down to 40 degrees below centigrade. So we bring these out to the clients so they can operate and stay in communication with headquarters, for weeks and months at a time. Everything is mobile and very, very robust, as I said. So the power systems that you're talking about is mobile power systems traditionally are diesel fired, and there's several diesel generators on site. Every light tower, lighting is a big deal on the site infrastructure, especially in the off season of winter. It's less hours during the day or light than dark. So lighting is a big deal. It's on 24/7 all year round. And at the bottom of every light tower, and you might have 6 to 16 light towers on a particular site, that may be 4 to 14 acres in size. At the bottom of every light tower, there's a 6 to 22 kilowatt generator operating on diesel. And then there's larger 100, 150 kilowatt generators that are powering the buildings, the communication towers, and things like that. So there's a lot of running diesel units on site. And what we have done over a period of the last 5 years is we've been developing an opportunity to have our clients transition from diesel to natural gas. Now, many of our clients, in fact, 85+% of our clients were actually utilizing their own natural gas that they're producing on site or nearby. So it completely eliminates their fuel costs, because a client would be paying anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 liters of diesel fuel a day to come to site and fuel everything up and consume that. So what we're doing is we were developing where we're bringing one large natural gas fired unit onto site. In our case, 70% of our natural gas fleet are microturbines. So we plant that on site. And then we have a microgrid that is all the cables and distribution panels are distributed around the outside of the site, and everything plugs in. Okay. Now, the big attraction here for especially the tier one clients is that we're able to reduce their costs. Even if we were to utilize compressed natural gas from a third party supplier, we're talking about an 86% decrease in fuel costs. If we're using the client's natural gas that's produced on site or nearby, they don't pay anybody for that fuel. So it goes down to zero. But bigger than that, it's the emissions reductions. When we move from diesel fired generation to a natural gas turbine, you're talking massive emissions reductions, 85 to 99% in things like particulate matter, SO2, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, and of course, well over 30% reduction in CO2. So these emissions and cost reductions are absolutely, a big deal to our clients.
That's great. So beyond the economics, there's a huge push from the producers, I'd assume, to, have any kind of furthering of ESG initiatives. And it sounds like whether they're using the nat gas from a circular aspect or bringing it in, it beats diesel. Not
By
even
cost in
close,
a
right?
big way. Yeah. And of course, in the emissions. But, it's important to know that, you talk about ESG. We're in a world of, certainly the clients of ours that are reporting issuers on stock exchange and what have you, and their need to display an ESG scorecard that is going in the right direction, right? So for they're doing as much as they can for emissions and the environment and what have you. But here in Canada, we have provincial and federal legislation that obligates large emitters. So in Canada, whether you're a cement manufacturer or a oil and gas extractor or a car manufacturing company, it doesn't matter. If you produce over 10 kilotons of CO2 equivalent, you're deemed a heavy emitter, and you're caught by legislation where you have to not only track your emissions, you need to bring them down under a threshold. You're either financially penalized, or if you're under, you're able to earn carbon credits, which show up on their balance sheet. So there is legislative incentives as well.
Got you. That's great. Are all the microgrid systems fully utilized at the moment, or how many do you have, and how many are you planning on adding in 2024?
Right. Well, we've been building up and tooling, retooling our power systems from diesel to natural gas. We're moving at the speed of the adoption of our clients. So demand from clients has been excellent. So we're up to around 25 discrete systems all on. So I mean, we have clients that their needs on site, we're pairing two microturbines together to operate as one. So we're doubling them up, and our units are very advanced. So we can actually put 30 of these together and act as one large synchronized unit. So we have, like I said, 25 discrete singular systems with the availability to modularize them. We expect with our CapEx going forward and what we're talking with our clients about their demand and so forth, we're going to add about another at least 10 this year going forward. So I hope that gives you an idea of how it's going. And, to build up to this 25 unit system, we've done that over the last 3-4 years. But adoption in the last year has been very aggressive.
And presumably that's where some of the $7 million that you recently raised is going to go into new units.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The majority of that will be into our intended CapEx, and the majority of that CapEx, we have other equipment classes that we have as well, and they have their needs and demands, but the majority of that will go to our mobile power systems.
So you're seeing strong demand for the mobile power systems. How big do you think the addressable market is in general? And I guess how much of it do you think you've already captured? Are you just scratching the surface, or do you think you're halfway through, or give us a sense of that?
Yeah, I think you're scratching the surface is correct. I mean, we have our energy sector specific to drilling, completions, and fracking, and plant builds, and the serious amount of water transfer support that's happening in our industry, the energy sector. There's other cross, and without getting into that, and just sort of looking down the tube of the energy sector or the energy services sector, there's hundreds of sites. If we've got 25 systems, you can see we're just scratching the surface here. You know what I'm saying? And at the moment, we are enjoying a first mover advantage. None of our peers or competitors are doing what we're doing, and offering these kinds of lower emission, very efficient microgrid systems. So we're further, fortifying that moat that we have. And there's going to be a few developments that if anybody's going to pay attention to some of our announcements going forward, there's going to be some things that we're going to talk about that are going to fortify that moat that we have around certainly the energy sector.
That's great. So some moat building. Some of the pushback that I guess we get from time to time, or concerns that people would have, or the commodity risk or the commodity adjacency. There's some geographically specific things going on in the regions you guys operate, such as the LNG facility in Kitimat. What are you seeing up there as far as activity goes, as far as these remote sites go?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up LNG. We're supplying our support to, and if you look at on our presentation deck on the website, you'll see where our locations are. Really concentrated in the foothills area, which is Rocky Mountains east all along. So we start in central Alberta around Drayton Valley, our locations, and Whitecourt and Grand Prairie and Fort St. John, northeastern BC. And that really, we're right on top of many reserves that you might know, but two main ones are obviously Montney and Duvernay. These are very, very large, world-class deposits. Some of them are producing not only gas, but tremendous amounts of liquids. With the onset, finally, Canada is going to be able to participate in the global LNG market, with LNG Canada being the first one. We'll probably be shipping early in mid 2025. This is an absolute needle mover for our clients, and therefore a needle mover for us. There's a few things that are also happening. We had some disputes happening with the First Nations in regards to, there was a Supreme Court decision about almost 2 years ago that kind of put a moratorium on drilling permits in northeastern BC until it was settled. Well, it took 1.5 years to settle, and it was settled in January, so about 14, 15 months ago. And during that moratorium, anybody that had drilling permits were able to utilize that inventory. Some ran out of inventory, some didn't have any. So with that 1.5 years of no permits, the first time in many, many years, the BC gas production actually started to decline because of that non-activity on drilling. Once that settlement got settled back in January of 23, so just over 1 year ago, they've been putting their foot on the gas pedal and getting going because they're behind. So, and of course, we've got 2-3 other LNG projects that are either in certain stages of permitting or construction that are coming on the back of LNG Canada. So we're really excited about taking part in this LNG global marketplace. And I think Canada is going to be, I think our sector is going to benefit greatly. We are therefore going to benefit greatly for that. So that's how I see certainly the gas side of things going. We do a lot of business in our heating division up in the oil sands, so we're exposed to that as well. So I like where things are going globally for the commodity of energy. So I think we're positioned well for a number of years looking forward. Knock on wood.
Could you just quickly give us a rough breakdown between the flameless heating side of the business and the microgrid and other rentals to remote sites?
Yeah, in 2012, so going 12 years ago, we acquired Arctic Therm International. So this is a company that is the developer of a particular flameless heating technology, and it is a leader in. And when we talk about flameless, these units are creating heat without a flame or without a spark ignition. So why it's important in the energy sector is these units can actually be placed near very near a wellhead. So, when they're drilling and completing what have you, their hydrocarbons can escape a little bit, and you don't want an ignition source nearby. So a heater that creates, anywhere from 1 million to 3.3 million BTU of heat, and the air velocity to push that heat out and utilize it in whatever manner becomes very valuable to the energy sector, just because of its safety around a hydrocarbon project. So we have 200 of the pull behind style heaters that go out for, we live in Canada. Some of these locations are in the north. It's Arctic conditions for 7 months. We need heat. Being that it's flameless, it's breathable. So if you want to heat an enclosure where you have workers, the traditional sort of propane fired heater, you'd carbon monoxide poison these folks in an enclosed area. So our breathable heat is perfect for that, and of course you can get it close to hydrocarbon combustion or production and so forth. So we have this specialized heating division that fits like a glove in the energy sector. So we have a fleet of 200 of the rental units that go out on pure rental, and we have the large truck style units, which are go out with a crew. They're not rental; they are contracted. They go out to refineries. They were originally designed to heat pipelines at the construction phase, to heat the steel to get thermal expansion out of the steel before the pipe is put into commission. So very technical product, but it's one of a kind. These trucks that we have are one of a kind in the world, and very interesting technology and very specialized. But again, it can be very seasonal because of, obviously, we have warm weather in the summer and extreme cold in the winter.
That's a great summary, Des. Thank you for taking the time. For anyone watching that would like to learn more about our process and how we find companies like Enterprise Group, feel free to reach out to us at llc@cgf.com. Des, thanks again. We're happy to be shareholders and wish you continued success going forward.
Well, thanks for the support.